Post Gupta kingdoms in North India. Objectives. After reading this unit, you would be able to learn about the political changes that took place after the disintegration of the Gupta Empire, know about the emergence of various political powers which were gradually gaining importance, discuss the origin and growth of the power of the Pushyabhutis of Thaneshwar and Kannauj, know about some of the events during the reign of King Harsh, learn about the administrative system of Harsh, and know about the political conditions of North India after Harsha's death. Introduction. In the 6th century AD, the disintegration of the Gupta Empire gradually paved way for the growth of many smaller kingdoms. In certain regions, new kingdoms emerged, and in other areas, the dynasties which had earlier accepted Gupta suzerainty now declared their independence. For example, kings like Yashodharma and political powers like the Maukharis, the Hunas, and the later Magadhan Guptas were the new powers. Besides these, the Pushyabhutis, the Gaudas, the Varmans, and the Matrakas also grew in importance. This unit attempts to give a brief sketch of the political history of these kingdoms. It also takes into account certain other aspects like the nature of the administrative system under the Harshvardhan of the Pushyabhuti family, political patronage to Buddhism, etc. The regional powers. In the absence of strong power, there emerged quite a number of regional powers in different regions. These powers, representing different dynasties, established their kingdoms and were often at war with each other. Here we briefly mention some of these powers. Yashodharman. During the reign of Kumaragupta I, his feudatory Bandhu Varman ruled over Mandsaur as it was a major center of western Malwa. He belonged to the Aulikara family, which perhaps ruled there up to the beginning of the 6th century AD. Two stone pillar inscriptions from Mandsaur in Madhya Pradesh, one of which is dated in 532 AD, refer to a powerful king Yashodharman. One of these inscriptions reports the victories of Yashodharman. The inscription describes him as the victor of all those lands which had not been subdued even by the Guptas. But the names of the defeated powers have not been mentioned except that of the Mihirkul. It appears that Yashodharman rose to power in about 528 AD and continued to rule till 532 AD, the date of Mandsaur inscription, but by 543 AD his power must have been eclipsed. The Maukharis. The Maukharis were an old family, as we find references to them in Patanjali's work and in other early documents. The Maukharis must have started gaining political power towards the end of the 5th century AD, as the Harsha inscription of 554 AD mentions the rise of Yajnavarman from Gaya during this period. We also get the names of three Maukharis kings mentioned in the Barabar and Nagarjuni inscriptions, who ruled in Gaya about 150 years earlier than their successors at Kannauj. The first three Maukhari kings are Yagnavarman, Sardulvarman, and Anantavarman. Some of these kings held simply the title of Samanta, which indicates that they were acting as kings under the overlordship of the Guptas. From the Asirgarh copper seal, we get the names of Harivarman, Adityavarman, Ishwarvarman, Ishanvarman, Sarvanvarman, who had ruled over Kannauj in UP. The first three kings had the title of Maharaja, whereas Ishanvarman is called Maharaja the Raj. It was perhaps Ishanvarman who set up an independent kingdom. The early Maukhari kings had established family ties with the later Guptas. However, Ishanvarman's declaration of his independence must have spoiled the relations between the later Guptas and the Maukharis, for the Abshad inscription tells us of the victory of Kumaragupta, the fourth king of the later Gupta family of Magध, over Ishanvarman. But the dynasty seems to have continued its rule. Sarvavarman, the second son of Ishanvarman, was successful in retrieving the lost prestige of the Maukharis by defeating Damodar Gupta of the later Gupta dynasty. The last of the Maukhari kings was Grahavarman, who was married to Rajyasri, the daughter of Pravakar Vardhan of Thaneshwar and sister of the famous ruler Harshvardhan. The Malwa king Devgupta attacked Kannauj and killed Grahavarman, bringing the Maukhari kingdom to an end. The Maukharis held sway over modern UP and parts of Magध. However, the innumerable wars which they lost and won kept changing their boundaries. The later Guptas. From around the middle of 6th century AD till about 675 AD. The kings who ruled Magध were known as Magध Guptas or later Guptas. However, it is not clear what connection they had with the imperial Guptas of the earlier period. The Abshad inscription from Gaya gives the names of 8 Gupta monarchs: Krishna Gupta, Harsh Gupta, Jivita Gupta, Kumar Gupta, Damodar Gupta, Mahasena Gupta, Madhav Gupta, and Aditya Sen. The later Guptas entered into matrimonial alliances with their other contemporary ruling families. For example, Harsh Gupta married his sister to a Makhari king. Throughout this period, the later Guptas remained engaged in battle with one enemy or the other. For example, Harsh Gupta had to fight the Hunas. His son Jivita Gupta fought against Lichavis of Nepal and Gaudas of Bengal, and Jivit Gupta's successor king Kumar Gupta defeated Makhari king Isnar Varman. The next king, Damodar Gupta, son of Kumar Gupta, was defeated and killed by Makhari king Sarva Varman and lost a portion of Magध. For some time, the successors of Damodar Gupta retreated to Malwa because of the Makharis, but they again established their supremacy in Magध. Their most powerful ruler was Aditya Sen, who ruled in Magध in 672 AD, a date which seems to occur in one of his inscriptions. The later Gupta power survived the empire of Harshvardhan, and Aditya Sen signalized his accession to power by the performance of a horse sacrifice. According to the Abshad inscription, his empire included Magध, Ang, and Bengal. It is just possible that his kingdom included a portion of eastern Uttar Pradesh. He was a Parama Bhagavat and got a temple of Vishnu constructed. The later Gupta line came to an end with the expansion of the power of Gaudas of Bengal westward, but the Gaudas themselves were subdued by Yasovarman of Kannauj. Besides the above-mentioned dynastic powers, the other important states that emerged in the post-Gupta period were those of the Maitras of Vallavi in Gujarat, Gurjaras in Rajputana and Gujarat, Gaudas in Bengal, Varmans in Kamrup, Assam, Man and Selodbhav families in Odisha. The Maitraka king of Vallavi had initially been under the overlordship of the imperial Guptas, and they gradually established their own supremacy. The founder of the Gurjara kingdom was Harichandra, whose 3 successors ruled till about 640 AD. Gauda, the region of north and northwest of Bengal, was ruled by Sasank, a contemporary and archival of Harshvardhan, as an independent kingdom in the early 7th century AD. The Prayag Prashasti, recording the achievements of the Gupta ruler Samudragupta, refers to 2 kingdoms in Assam, Kamrup and Davak. Kamrup became an important political region in northeastern India from the middle of the 4th century AD. Pushyavarman probably found around this date the first historical royal family of Assam. This family ruled for 12 generations till the time of Bhaskar Varman, who was a contemporary and an ally of Harshvardhan of Kannauj, and ruled in the first half of the 7th century AD. Although there is evidence that some local rulers of Odisha owed allegiance to imperial Gupta rulers towards the end of the Gupta rule, 2 autonomous kingdoms emerged in Odisha in the second half of the 6th century AD. One was the Mana kingdom, which extended from Balasore to Puri district, and the other was the kingdom of the Salodbhavas of Kongoda, which extended from Chilka Lake to Mahendragiri mountains in Ganjam district. Both kingdoms suffered setbacks because of the rise of Sasank of Bengal and Harshvardhan of Kannauj. The Pushyabhutis of Thaneshwar and Kannauj. A variety of sources inform us about the rise of the family of Pushyabhutis, which first ruled from Thaneshwar in Haryana and later from Kannauj in UP. These sources include the text Harsh Charitra of Banbhat, accounts of Hyun Sang, and some inscriptions and coins, etc. Banbhat informs us that the founder king of this dynasty at Thaneshwar was Pushyabhuti, and that the family was known as Pushyabhuti Vamsa. However, the inscriptions of Harsha make no reference to him. The Banshekhar and Madhuvan plates and royal seals mention 5 earlier rulers, among whom the first 3 are given the title of Maharaja. This may indicate that they were not sovereign monarchs. The 4th king, Prabhakar Vardhan, has been described as the Maharaja Raj, which makes us infer that he was an independent monarch and had established matrimonial relations with the Maukharis by marrying his daughter Rajyasri with Grahavarman. Thaneshwar during this time, about 604 AD, was threatened by the Hunas from the western side. Banvat has described Prabhakar Vardhan as a lion to the Huna deer. According to him, an army under Rajyavardhan was sent to defeat the Hunas, but due to the sudden illness of his father, he had to come back. With Prabhakar Vardhan's death, the family had to face troubled times for a while. The Malwa king killed Grahavarman and took Rajyasri prisoner. It appears that the Malwa and the Gauda kings entered into alliance, and even Thaneshwar was threatened. Rajyavardhana defeated the Malwas but was killed through treachery by Shashank, the Gauda king. Now it was Harsha's responsibility to seek revenge, and in due course he was able to establish a strong empire. Harshvardhan ascended the throne of Thaneshwar around 606 AD and immediately marched against the Gaudas. He also entered into an alliance with Bhaskar Varman, the king of Pragjyotisha, that is Assam, as both had a common enemy in Shashank, the king of Gauda, that is Bengal. We have no information whether Harsh entered into battle with Shashank, but he was able to save his sister Rajyasri, and the kingdoms of Thaneshwar and Kannauj were combined with Harsh, now ruling from Kannauj. In fact, Huin Sang's account mention him and his predecessors as rulers of Kannauj. Both Ban and Huin Sang refer to Harsha's word of defeating other kings. Subsequently, he fought the rulers of Vallabhi and Gurjaras in the west, Chalukyas in the Deccan, and Magd and Gauda in the east. The Maitrakas of Vallabhi had emerged as a strong power in the Saurashtra region of Gujarat. Vallabhi is generally identified with Val, 18 miles from Bhavnagar in Kathiawad. We find the names of 5 Vallabhi kings who were contemporaries of Harsh. Huin Sang has mentioned the Vallabhi king Dhruv Sen II Baladitya as Harsha's son-in-law, who also attended the religious assembly called by Harsha as at Prayag. This indicates that Harsha's hostilities with Vallabhis ended through a matrimonial alliance. However, through the inscription of Gurjara kings, we know that their king Dadda II had supported the Vallabhis. The Vallabhis remained a strong power during the reign of Harsha. From Ban's account, we know that the Gurjaras were hostile to the Vardhans. A family of Gurjara rulers was ruling at Nandipuri in the Bhuj region of Gujarat in this period. This might have continued during the period of Harsha. It appears that the Gurjaras accepted the suzerainty of Chalukyas of Badami in Karnataka as a safeguard against Harsha. For the Aihole inscription mentions Lata, Malwa and Gurjara as feudatories of Pulakeshin II, the Chalukya ruler. An eulogy or Prashasti of Pulakeshin II placed on a temple wall at Aihole also mentions Pulakeshin's military success against Harshvardhan. Huin Sang's account mentioned that in spite of his victories over many kingdoms, he was not able to defeat Pulakeshin II, the Chalukya ruler of Badami in Karnataka. We have no details of the battle and where it was fought, but this is clear that Harsha could not achieve success against Pulakeshin II. Harsha was successful in his eastern campaigns. A Chinese account mentions him as the king of Magd in 641 AD. We have already mentioned his alliance with Bhaskar Varman, the king of Assam, and it is possible that they jointly conducted campaigns in Bengal and other parts of eastern India. Harsh had diplomatic relations with the Chinese, for his contemporary Tang Emperor sent 3 embassies to his court. The last of these, under Wang Huinse, arrived in India in 647 AD when Harsh was no longer alive. Harsh himself has sent a Brahman envoy to China in 641 AD. Harsh ruled for a period of 41 years and is said to have died about 647 AD. The administrative setup under Harsh was in some ways a continuation of the system prevalent under the Guptas. Huin Sang mentions that Harsh used to take up tours throughout his kingdom. The king remained the supreme authority, assisted by his ministers and other officials of different categories. For example, the Madhuban copper plate mentions the names of various officials like Uparika, provincial governor, Senapati, army chief, Dutaka, informer, etc. However, his inscriptions Ban's Harshacharita and Huin Sang's account leave no doubt that the stability of the administration and of the empire had come to depend much on the support of the allies and feudatories, that is, Samantas and Mahasamantas. The officials, it appears, were not paid salaries in cash. Instead, they were given land as payment for their services. The law and order situation seems to have slackened during this period as Huin Sang himself had to face plunder by dacoits. The Banshekar, Nalanda, and Sonepat inscriptions of Harsha describe him as a worshipper of Shiva. However, later on he became a Buddhist and convened a conference at Kannauj. Here the doctrines of Mahayana were propagated with utmost precision. This assembly, according to Huin Sang, was attended by 18 kings and 3,000 monks and continued for 18 days. Another such event during Harsha's reign was the quinquennial distribution ceremony at Prayag. Harsha performed 5 such ceremonies in his last 30 years. He used to distribute all the treasures accumulated during the last 5 years in these ceremonies. Learning and education got royal patronage during this period. Nalanda University had more than 10,000 students. Harsha had given 100 villages in donation to this university. Political conditions of North India in post-Harsha period. The empire built up by Harshvardhan had a very loose structure. After his death, even this structure collapsed. The events immediately following the death of Harsha have been described at some length by Wang Huinse, who had been deputed as an ambassador by the Chinese emperor. But as he reached the borders of India, the news of Harsha's death reached him. He tells us that Arjuna, TN40, sent an army to check the entry of the Chinese ambassador. Somehow, Wang Huinse escaped and came back to fight Arjuna with an army of 1,000 from Tibet and 7,000 from Nepal. Arjuna and his army were defeated and captured. Later, the queen of Arjuna continued the fight but was defeated. Wang took Arjuna to China and presented him to his king. However, the authenticity of this account is doubted by certain scholars. Post-Harsha dynasties. Among the post-Harsha rulers, the Nidhanpur inscription of King Bhaskar Varman mentions about his rule in Karna Suvarna in the Murshidabad district of Bengal and nearby places. Similarly, the Avsad inscription mentions Aditya Sen's rule over Magध in Kashmir. Durlabh Vardhan established a dynasty known as Karakot. His grandson Chandraped checked the entry of the Arabs in Kashmir. Another king of this dynasty, Lalitaditya Muktaped, attacked Kannauj and defeated Yashovarman. It appears from Chinese accounts that Muktaped did not annex the kingdom but entered into an alliance with him. After about 75 years of Harsha's death, Yashovarman rose to power in Kannauj. He defeated the Gaudas and also won Magध. Yashovarman, besides being a great warrior, was a great patron of scholars. His court was graced by Vakapati and Bhavabhuti. Vakapati wrote Gauda Vahu in Prakrit, while Bhavabhuti wrote Malti Madhav, Mahavira Charita, and Uttara Ramacharita in Sanskrit. Although the rule of many of these royal families lasted only for a short period, we should remember that in many regions of the Indian subcontinent, this period saw the beginning of stable state structures. These were not all India empires, but they represented the beginnings of regional political structures. We have already referred to the Kashmir Valley where, in spite of many dynastic changes, we find for the first time the functioning of a local state system. In Bengal, the emergence of Pala power from the middle of the 8th century AD and its duration for several centuries marked a new phase of the political history of the region. Similarly, in Western India, covering both Rajasthan and Gujarat, emerged many new ruling families like Gujra Pratihars, Gohilas, the Chamhans, and others who came to be considered as different clans of the Rajputs who dominated the political scene of the Western India for centuries. Thus, the decline of Gupta power and the collapse of Harsha's empire did not mean the beginning of a political anarchy. After the end of these empires, the regional powers consolidated themselves and played important roles in the history of subsequent periods. Let us sum up. In the post-Gupta period, many kingdoms came into existence. These kingdoms were not as large as the Gupta kingdom. The political fortunes of the dynasties which ruled these kingdoms fluctuated with time. Some of the powerful kings like Harsha managed to bring almost the whole of the northern India under their control, but their kingdoms were short lived. However, simultaneously, we find that in many regions new political powers emerged, which lasted for many centuries. The beginnings of the many region states can be traced to this period, although the rule of many of these royal families lasted only for a short period. We should remember that in many regions of the India subcontinent, this period saw the beginning of a stable state structures. These were not all India empires, but they represented the beginnings of regional political structures. We have already referred to the Kashmir Valley, where, in spite of many dynastic changes, we find for the first time the functioning of a local state system. In Bengal, the emergence of Pal power from the middle of the 8th century and its duration for several centuries marked a new phase in the political history of the region. Similarly, in Western India, covering both Rajasthan and Gujarat, emerged many new ruling families like the Gurjara Pratihars, Gohilas, the Chamhans, and others, who came to be considered as different class of Rajputs who dominated the political scene of Western India for centuries. Thus, the decline of Gupta power and the collapse of Harsha's empire did not mean the beginning of a political anarchy. After the end of these empires, the regional powers consolidated themselves and played important roles in the history of subsequent periods.